the West has a drinking problem, but not the kind you'd expect. Alcohol consumption in the US and Western Europe has either flattened or declined. It has been squeezed between an aging population and a younger one that is rethinking drinking. Over half the drinkers aged 18 to 24 in Germany want to learn about mindful drinking. In the UK, over a third worry about alcohol's impact on their emotional well being. But a few thousand miles away, it's a different story. India is buying more alcohol. Between 2020 and 2025, Euromonitor, a market research firm, reported that alcohol consumption in India rose by nearly 2 times. It was growing at a compounded annual rate of nearly 14% to reach 7,500 million liters. Even as some Indian youth are reportedly drinking less, industry veterans dismiss it as a minor trend. Samar Singh Shekhwat, an Alcobev consultant, told my colleague, the Kent reporter Akriti Bhalla, that it's something that's limited to a small cohort of younger, educated, affluent metro consumers. The thing is, the broader market is expanding while also driving investment decisions. And India is increasingly becoming central to multinational brands' global expansion. For instance, earlier this year, Soufflé Malt, a French malt producer, announced plans for a 100 million euro or almost $120 million plant in Rajasthan. The company is betting on India's growing beer and spirits demand, even as it reportedly shuts factories in Germany and the UK. Ankur Sachdeva, the CEO of a Delhi based premium alcohol firm called Upal Brewers and Distillers, claims that the big change happened post COVID. He noted that home consumption rose rapidly and people upgraded what they drank. And that resulted in many large companies recording double digit growth. Radico Khaitan, which sells Alcobev brands such as 8 p.m. and college students go to Magic Moments, saw its sales more than double to over 5,000 crore rupees in 5 years. Now, Sachdeva from Opal Brewers believes that this rising consumption has also created the demand and expectation for a better product at every price point. And this kind of demand upgrade has happened across the country, not just in mega cities like Mumbai or Delhi. In rural areas, low income consumers opt for stronger spirits like whiskey that offer more alcohol per rupee than beer. In cities, wealthier drinkers are reaching for imported whiskey, gin, and craft beer more often than their parents ever did. Distributors say that even tier 2 towns like Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh are showing similar behaviors, which means India is charting a different course than its global peers in alcohol consumption. And not simply because demand is rising, but because of the way alcohol is bought, sold, and taxed here. Welcome to Daybreak, a business podcast from the Ken. I'm your host, Rachel Verghese, and every day of the week, my co-host Sneha Sharma and I will bring you one news story that is worth understanding and worth your time. Today is Tuesday, the 17th of March. India's alcohol story is unfolding at retail counters. Customers walking into liquor stores today often leave with 3 or 4 bottles. The bottles range from mid to premium, like whiskey, gin, and vodka. Kunal Patel of Monica Alcobev, a pan India importer and distributor, said that customers' average basket now ranges between rupees 5,000 and rupees 8,000. Pre COVID, they typically picked up just one bottle. He told Akriti that what's happening now is that basically drinkers are now out of the closet because it's a lot more socially accepted. Even drinking at home has kind of become a social fashion. So, consumers are not just buying alcohol for immediate consumption, they're even buying it to build home bars. And this kind of a behavioral shift has turned India into one of the most promising alcohol markets in the world. In fact, while the Scotch whisky market recorded its third consecutive year of decline globally in 2025, in India, United Spirits reported over 8% growth in its prestige and above segment in the December quarter alone. United Spirits, by the way, is the company that distributes products from Diageo, which is the maker of Johnny Walker. And this prestige and above segment, which basically just means products that are priced higher than the average or regular segments, is now 90% of the company's revenue. And besides Johnny Walker, which is a 1,000 crore rupees brand, by the way, other top sellers from United Spirits include whiskey variants like Black Dog and McDowell's, which are classified as Indian made foreign liquor or IMFL. India's drinking pattern explains that momentum that United Spirits is seeing. Unlike Western markets, where beer accounts for about 60 to 80% of sales, brown spirits like whiskey and rum dominate the shelves here in India. That doesn't mean that white spirits are lagging that behind, though. Their popularity is also on the rise. Smaller, homegrown brands like Stranger and Sons, for example, began Indianizing gin with fruit flavors in 2021. Once larger companies caught on, they adopted and scaled this trend as well. Take companies like Diageo and Radico Khaitan, which launched their own flavored vodkas in 2025, and those have quickly become among the fastest selling products at liquor stores. This kind of premiumization in India's liquor market is also exactly what is drawing global brands. The thing is, a few years ago, back in 2016 and 17, getting international labels into India took a lot of effort. But today, that has changed drastically. Now, global brands are approaching Indian distributors directly. Patel told us that India is a top priority for these brands. And Monica Alcobev now receives 15 to 20 enquiry emails a day from international brands. And even in states with low per capita alcohol spending, the premium push is very visible. For example, Uttar Pradesh averages just rupees 50% annually on alcohol, while its neighbor Haryana averages about rupees 800. And even though Uttar Pradesh may not seem like the most ideal ground for premium drinks, it's actually one of the strongest markets for beverages above 15% alcohol by volume. That's what Anand Gupta, the founder of Board Beverages, which is a new age alcobev firm, realized in 2021 when he set out to sell mead, which is a honey based alcoholic drink. He found that it was because, well, a typical college going youngster in the state is more likely to choose alcohol that hits harder at a lower cost. Now, that's just one of the many subtrends that have emerged in India, but two main pockets stand out the most. The first is made up of lower income consumers, who are largely from rural areas who prefer spirits over beer. Saket Somani, a senior vice president at Radico Khaitan, said that rising internet penetration and social media exposure has made consumers in smaller towns almost as informed and brand aware as their urban counterparts. Because the company is one of the country's oldest IMFL makers, they are seeing this pocket contribute strongly to their growth across their flagship luxury and super premium portfolios. Now, the second group is mainly higher income urban consumers who are drinking more foreign liquor and beer than country liquor. In fact, their monthly per capita consumption has gone from 1/10 of a liter to nearly a quarter in the same period. And what unites both groups is aspiration. An industry veteran told Akriti that 25 years ago, a youngster would pick rum or whiskey for the buzz. But today's drinkers aren't necessarily loyal to a single brand. They want something premium with social currency, something that shows that they have a good palate. Nishant Sharma, founder of Scotland based Roslin Distillery, which sells across the world, believes that this aspiration might actually gradually reshape the hierarchy of brands. Even legacy labels like Johnny Walker may end up feeling pressure as younger drinkers look for products that feel more relatable. Still, even as aspiration increases, access remains tightly under control. Stay tuned for the next segment. But before that, Snigdha has something to tell you.
Okay, quick break, and this one is relevant if you are a data person. You are listening to Daybreak, which means that you already know what we at the Ken do. Deeply reported business journalism for people who want the complete picture. The Ken is hiring an analytics lead, and this is not a build reports for the quarterly review kind of a role. you would be the person that every team comes to. Editorial, product, business, when they need to know what's actually working. You'd be shaping what stories get told, what products get built, and where the company bets its energy next. It is a Bangalore-based full-time job, and honestly, this is the kind of role that does not come around too often. The link is in the show notes. And now, back to Rachel.
In markets like the US, UK, and even in Asia, specifically in countries like Thailand and China, alcohol is sold both on trade, like bars and restaurants, and off trade, through supermarkets and convenience stores. Basically, consumers have multiple entries to buy. But India works entirely differently. The company has over 10 million FMCG retail points, but alcohol is sold at only a fraction of those. There's no direct to consumer route, and sales are limited to licensed liquor stores and on premise outlets. And that's because the supply chain is very tightly controlled. From the distilleries to warehouses to distributors to retailers, each of these checkpoints may sit in a different state, each with its own alcohol laws. For many states, excise duty is a major revenue source. The industry veteran I mentioned earlier told us that it contributes 10 to 33% of total state revenue. But there's a downside to being a state subject because it also creates a complex tangle of licenses and levies. In fact, one needs different licenses to manufacture, store, and sell beer. In some states like West Bengal, the number of permits can even reach 69 for a single brand. So, if you're a retailer selling a bottle that costs rupees 100, after logistics, permits, and excise duties, which alone can cost up to rupees 60, plus discounts and marketing, you might be left with just rupees 5, which means most retailers are then forced to prioritize 5 or 6 top selling brands. An Alcobev founder told us that that means newer players sometimes pay as much as rupees 20 per bottle just for shelf space. And while big players can sustain that kind of cost for a year, most startups can't. That's why several new brands that entered around 2021 to 2022 have struggled to scale. The Ken actually wrote about how Bira 91, which was once a craft beer darling, ran into supply shortages and regulatory tangles. So, for companies navigating this web, success means expanding in increments, flavor by flavor, state by state, and segment by segment. But despite all of this complexity, the fundamentals are hard to ignore. India has demographic advantage and rising incomes on its side. The country adds roughly 12 million people to its working age population every year, and those kinds of numbers reshape a market. In fact, steady demand and premiumization alone are expected to push the Indian alcoholic beverage industry's revenue growth to 10 to 12% this fiscal. And as Patel from Monica Alcobev put it, if alcohol consumption were a person, India is still reaching its teenage years.